Happy 20 plenty, happy 20 greatness, happy 20 incredibleness and awesomeness. It is a new year, new season, new decade, new streams, new messages, new motivations, and it is Sunday. Welcome to the Motivation with Goko Dinewo. It's been an exciting and thrilling beginning of, time of the year. I mean, it's a new decade, so it is exciting because it means that things are beginning anew, things are beginning afresh, and new possibilities, new opportunities, a new day, a new dawn. And I hope that that's the mindset you are entering 2020 with, that the old has to die and the new has to be born. Old pathologies, old things that no longer serve us, old things that are holding us back to be our whole self, and things that are holding us back to really be at our highest potential. Which makes me want to speak about black tax. Firstly, I would like to say black tax as a term that is being used to describe how we as Africans do things troubles me, because you need to understand that some terms have a colonial connotation to it, and we need to understand that with colonization they made everything black be degraded, because everything black was then associated with evilness, everything black was associated with negativity, whereas black is a very powerful color on its own, because it's a color that you cannot really get rid of or do away with no matter what color you put. It does not dilute necessarily. If you put black and then you put a white, it becomes a gray, but it's still, you could still see that it is that. So I have a problem with the term black tax. And as we understand it, it's something that kind of started to surface as more, I would say my generation, maybe also your generation, as we started to become more affluent, as we started to have access into spaces, into material things that our generation, the generation before us, meaning our parents, did not have access to. Then we grew up being told that we needed to take care of our parents, we needed to take care of the family. So if you're the first child, or if you're a child who's making it, then the responsibility then becomes, or the assumption then becomes, that you need to take care of everybody else. So that's why I'm saying that I have a problem with the connotation black tax, because it has also been seen in the negative light, that people always feel like it is a burden to be able to take care of other people. We need to understand that as a black race, in our essence, we are givers, we are carers, singabantu bobuntu, abantu babuthu. So that essence is us. That's how we've learned from past generation to the current generation, that I am because you are. So that essence needs to be the driving force of why we do the things that we do. Because if you're taking care of people but it feels like it's burdening you, or it's leading you into debt, then you cannot say I am because they were, because it means that whoever that needs to be because you were will not be, because now in your gifting, you are gifting them from a zero, or you're gifting them from a minus. So people need to also understand that historically, so let's speak pre-colonization, pre-slavery, actually we were well taken care of by our families. So even when you get married or you move away from a homestead, you would be given a set of cattle, one or two, to go begin a life, to start your own wealth and to start your own capital. So when we lost those assets as Africans due to colonization, due to really some horrible things that happened to us as Africans, we also lost those things, and we assumed that we become a burden to each other. So I needed to also bring that historical information, so that when you go on and make a decision of how you're going to support those who need support, how you do it, it could be either enabling or disabling based on the information that I'm sharing right now. Because I also know that when you get married, part of the cattle that was exchanged during Ilobola, some of it would then be given to the new couple to say, hey, go off, because we were about building wealth, we were about building capital and building assets. So when those things were taken away, and then we were told that we were less off people, and then our parents then had to build a life from nothing, and they had to build a life from very little income, because we also understand the social injustices and the economical injustices that took place, within workspace. So then our parents had to take care of their own parents, they had to take care of us. So that whole kind of pathology started to pass on, that, then we take care of our elders and things like that. But it wasn't necessarily like this, like I said earlier on, historically. So some of my experiences And these are my experiences. They don't necessarily have to be applicable to you. So I am the firstborn child. I'm also the firstborn grandchild. So already as a firstborn, there's a lot of expectations that your family do. But I'm also a first in a lot of things. Of course, the first to complete matric, the first to do this, and the first to get this, and the first to do that. So when you are the first, then I grew up knowing that as the first, it's my responsibility to pull other people up. So the whole notion that as Black people, we don't pull each other up, yes, it does exist, and again, it's because of apartheid and those colonial things that divide and conquer rule. But in our families, it's about pulling the other up to get to the level in which you've gotten into. So how you then would support people is to enable them, not to create dependency. However, that's not necessarily the case, even in my situation. So I started working firstly when I was in high school. So I started to work because I needed to pay for some other things, because I had a mother who was a general worker, did not have resources to be able to pay for my school fee, for my school fees at the time when school fees used to be paid, to buy me things, and for me to have access to the things that I had to earn those things. So I was taught to earn my way into things because the resources were very limited at home. When I started to have resources, what happened is, I remember the first thing my mom did ask me to change furniture ending. And of course, when you get into a market, you don't earn a lot, because post school or post something, you still knew you need to gain experience. So the best way to get new furniture was to do what? Was to actually get credit, take it on credit. And that was a very bad mistake, one that I made, because I paid for that furniture for a long time with very high interest rates. Secondly, some of my family members asked me to open clothing accounts on my name because then I had a good credit record and I was working. Thirdly, then I was also expected to support my other family. But the third part, I also want to say that for me personally, aspects of it is that I grew up in a family that I never felt that I belonged, because I got teased a lot because I never looked like my cousins, whom we grew up as sisters, by the way. We never had a cousin. We were raised by our maternal grandparents, so we grew up as family and as siblings. But I looked different because they looked much more light-skinned and more petite, because my grandmother's mixed race. I think I've said this before. So they took a lot of my grandmother's genes. I took genes from my father's side, which is full-bodied and so forth and so forth. So I got teased a lot and never felt a sense of belonging. And because of also past childhood wounds and traumas, so I was always a withdrawn child, and I was a never engaging child. So people I was never visible. So growing up, I always wanted to make my family proud. And I wanted to make my family see me. I wanted to belong as well. So I made sure that when I got work and I had access to income and I had access to resources, I was taking care of the rest of my family, but to also my own detriment. I was taking care of them, and some of them even up to now are disabled by how I used. It's kind of like spoon feeding. There's a saying that says that you can, it's better to teach people how to fish than to offer them fish. And I know one of the mistakes I made is offer a lot of fishes as a way of belonging. So assess for yourself, when you are over giving, when your cup is empty and it's running dry, but you still wanting to fill your family's cups, from where are you coming from? Because some people gift because they want to belong, loved, or appreciated. And we all understand that money cannot buy love, but some of us still use it. We use transactions to actually access certain or feel certain things that we're feeling. And it's not about judging, but it's about me sharing those experiences so you can actually reflect on yourself and say, where do I belong and what do I need to do so that I am not burdened? So what happened is that when I had to go pay, it means I lost a lot of things. I lost my job, so I had no income and had no things. So my expectation was that the rest of the family was going to show up. Well, sadly they didn't, because I did not teach them to know how to also care for me. All they know is to receive from me. So they were struggling, even though they had resources and some of them had great jobs, but to send me even 100 rand or bag of potatoes or something good, there's nothing, even to buy my kids clothes, they were unable, because I taught them to receive from me. I didn't teach them to gift. But I also noticed when I was a parent, so I did a lot of reflection about how I've enabled certain behaviors. Because you see, when you don't teach people to fish and offer fish, when you need them to offer some fish, once they've got fish, they don't know how to share the fish, because you haven't taught the principle of actually what it goes in for you to go and pull out the fish, because there are principles there that one can learn. So that is my own experience. And I learned that Some people, no matter what you could do, because there's people who, so I learned from them, okay, but some people are gifted as a way of enabling. So there's a cousin sister of mine that I really put a lot in some of the things in their education, because I believe that's the best investment actually. When we want to pull each other up, pull each other with something that has long term and that they can actually create independence, whether that's education, whether that's starting a small business, whether, whatever that it is, that it can give them income outside you always giving them money all the time. It worked, right? But there's a few other cousins that have tried to do some stuff with them, but it doesn't work. So sometimes, no matter what we can do to take care of our families, they just don't know how to take care of themselves. And we need to be able to make peace with those situations. And we need to be able to say, no, I can't do it anymore. I've been paying for that rent, and I've been paying for this installment, and I've been doing that. So you never ever gift what you don't have, because it's clearly, if you don't have nothing in your cup, as in you don't have water, you don't have tea, you don't have coffee, what is there to pour? Because it means that you're going to break the cup to try share what is in the cup so that they can have something in their own cup. So it's very important to understand that when you are gifting to your family, don't gift also because the family also has high expectations, because I don't believe that in our culture we were our parents' investments, so that we could go to school and then they can say, yeah, I took you to school and then. Those are things that have been passed on, as I explained earlier, to the historical disposition that we come from. I believe that it's very important for one to take care of those who are in need, but taking care of them in a way that is going to actually help them advance their life, help them not be dependent on you long term, because if anything happens to you, they're going to be left depleted, they're going to be left paralyzed, and they won't be able to know how to actually take care of themselves outside your support. So gift in a way that can actually elevate them and make them independent, but gift also from a place in which you feel you want to give, because a gift that comes from the heart is more worth it than a gift that comes from an expectation. Also gift because you understand that in our culture, I am because you are, and you are because I am. So understand that when we're giving, it's not a burden, but don't give what you don't have. That should be a very fundamental principle. And let's also not use terms that actually have connotations that degrade how we do things and how we behave and how we live our lives as Africans. Because also we do certain things as Africans. We label certain things and we don't understand that those things carry burdens in how we actually pronounce it. Can you hear the word black text? Feels like it is we're being texted by our parents or by our families. But if you've got something, give something. I gift in education, I gift in businesses, small businesses. I gift by saying, come and help me do this, then I will pay you for it. If you want some money, even for my kids, I'm like, do this particular job. So there are certain principles in which you can gift that makes people gift in a way that people can earn certain things. So if you're gifting, because I'm talking about regular gifting, money, make it something that they could earn it. So for example, my mom is unemployed and left work to support my work, so I can't pay her what she earned, the salary, but there's things that I can gift her back as a way of saying thank you so much for taking the step of courage and supporting me. And also the discussion is to say, then what else do you want to do, because maybe this might not be enough for you, you need other things. So that's what you should be doing to your families, to your loved ones. In terms of that, send me a message, send me a comment, and let me know how this went and what else you want us to discuss on 2020. So we are back online with motivation. So these will be weekly, if not maybe every 10 days. We will be doing the streams, sharing some insights, my own experiences, nothing that is an expert, nothing that is a master, just only somebody who's learning from their own lives and wanting to share it with those who are keen to hear it. Love and light.